everybody is taking this ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. So, it's making a splash all over America. Even former President George W. Bush took the challenge. Here with us this morning is Sarah Embro, the Executive Director of the ALS Georgia Chapter. Good morning. Welcome to Doc Talk.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. Well, who came up with this idea? And for those that don't know, how does it work?
Sure. Well, the idea itself isn't new. I mean, in sports, when you win, the coach or the team captain often gets dumped with the ice bucket of water. But in particular, for the ALS Association and to raise awareness for ALS, it started in Massachusetts in the New York area. A former Boston College baseball player, team captain of Boston College baseball team, Pete Frates, and some of his buddies said, we really need to raise awareness for ALS. Now, Pete Frates is 29 years old and currently living with ALS.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes.
And so this is kind of the idea his friends came up with to help support him. And so they did that, put it on Facebook, social media, and it kind of took flight from there.
It's appropriate that would come from a baseball player because we know
Exactly.
this disease also is Lou Gehrig's disease.
That's true.
And, it is interesting. ALS, tell our listeners, what does that acronym stand for?
So ALS is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, otherwise known as Lou Gehrig's disease, because 75 years ago this year, he gave his famous farewell speech to baseball because he had ALS.
Right.
And so ALS is a progressive neurodegenerative disease that affects the brain and spinal cord.
And I tell you, I've heard other people on radio just totally demolish ALS. I forgot what they've called it, the amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. I can use my doctordom here and one up everybody, but I've heard it called several things, and I know they're trying to do their best, but it is a big windfall for the ALS project in trying to find a cure. Phenomenal response publicly. And also, what was the goal in fundraising and where are you today, this weekend?
There really was no original goal. I mean, to this day, there still isn't a goal. We didn't say we want to raise a certain amount of money. It started because of awareness and a challenge. If you didn't do this ice bucket challenge, then you should donate to the association. It was one or the other, and it's almost become both together.
Wow, that's great. So how much have you raised so far?
So the latest numbers as of this morning were $41.8 million nationally. So just under $42 million.
I thought, the latest number I heard during the week was like 13 million.
That was a week ago.
Wow, this thing. So now this has changed. So it's not only, do the bucket and give the money is what it's turned into.
Right.
Do the Ice Bucket Challenge and donate.
Right.
Wow, this is incredible. Well, do you have a favorite celebrity video?
Oh, goodness.
George W. Bush, that's not bad.
George W. Bush is not bad.
A lot of people wanted to put ice water on him.
There are so many to keep up with. I literally get home at night from the day job of working with the ALS Association, and I probably spend 2 hours or more just combing through social media trying to watch as many videos as I can because everyone is so unique and personal. That's what's so great about it. But celebrity-wise, I saw Oprah's, I saw Charlie Sheen's. Charlie Sheen, instead of ice water, chose to dump cash on his head that he said he would be making a donation with.
That's like Charlie just trying to change the language here, change the focus. That's funny. That's not a bad idea at all.
It was not a bad idea.
Especially if they're Ben Franklin's that he's dumping.
Right.
And now it's kind of one-upmanship, it seems. Oh, you didn't use the right bucket. You didn't have enough water in there. You didn't put enough ice in there.
How
everybody.
creative can you be?
Yeah.
Bill Gates was very creative.
Really? What did he do?
So he was on, it looked to be on a dock or a pier, and he had strung some piping and rigged a cooler up to a string and, almost like a scientific professor, so it would dump itself on him.
That would be appropriate.
Yes.
That's right. God, that's great. So celebrities have been involved. I tell you, we had some people over at the house this weekend, and the kids were all into this. I mean, all these kids are doing it.
Well, that's what's so amazing. My 4-year-old daughter did it this week as well, and it's the perfect opportunity for parents and community to teach young children about philanthropy and giving back and creating awareness for others.
Right. Once again, we're talking to Sarah Embro, the Executive Director of the ALS Georgia chapter. So, people living with this disease have got to be it's got to be putting smiles on faces. And here locally, I mean, how many people do we know that are living with ALS?
Well, you're right. It is putting smiles, and it's something that people never thought they would see the day that this silent or underfunded disease would actually come to the forefront. In Georgia, we believe the prevalence to be close to about 800 individuals living with ALS. We currently have about half of that on our registry with our association.
Wow, only half. You would think that everybody would be registered.
Right, but it is, it's self-registration with us, so we have to be able to be at the clinics when they're diagnosed, to be introduced to them, or they have to know where to find the resources. So education and awareness is so extremely important, which is why the Ice Bucket Challenge has been so phenomenal.
So have you seen an uptick in the number of Georgians that have found you?
Absolutely. We have organizations and groups that are calling us, emailing us, saying what can they do, give us more information, how can we help.
Right, and you have more going on than just the Ice Bucket Challenge, right? Coming up next month, I think there's a Walk to Defeat ALS. Tell us
so
about
the Walk to Defeat ALS is our signature fundraising event that happens annually.
Well, I got to tell you, not any longer. But
very possibly true. This will be our 12th year. It's on September 13th at the Georgia World Congress Center International Plaza. The Falcons are away that weekend, so we have the event there. We had just about 2,000 attendees last year in the pouring rain. We had our natural ice bucket last year, so we'll see how it pans out this year, but we expect a great turnout.
Fantastic, and that's for the whole family.
That's for the whole family, very family friendly. People even bring their dogs, kids in wagons, ALS patients, come
I was going to
well.
ask, do they participate as well?
They do. So we do it on just a little under a 2-mile loop of the city streets. So that's why our venue is where it's at, because it's handicap accessible, wheelchair accessible.
That's great. That's great. And hopefully we'll see more innovations and a cure for ALS. I remember as a young doctor, it's one of the first things we studied somehow in medical school, and we could relate to it, I guess, because of Lou Gehrig, and we'd grown up, hearing about it, and it's a terrible, insidious, unstoppable disease at this point. That basically, your nerve cells just start dying.
Right.
Is kind of the bottom line. It's a little more complicated than that. So we do need this research. So thank you for being here and making us aware of this, and love to get a report from you sometime, a follow-up.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Stay tuned. You're listening to Doc Talk with Dr. Jeffrey Gallops on Talk Radio 640 WGST.